A good afternoon, just barely afternoon. The Chinese New Year's is wrapping up, and I'm wondering if I'm taking one of my favorite precepts a little too literally, and that I'm talking about doing nothing. Nothing in the sense of no thing. And I laugh here because Chinese New Year's, the longest holiday of the year, and the most frantic, I might add. At least this is my takeaway from witnessing this for the past 20 years. There's the build-up, the anticipation, the preparation. A few days before New Year's, it's really noticeable. Everyone is on task. Almost everyone is out and about delivering New Year's gifts, red envelopes, hanbao, and all the rest. And there's a franticness, so much to do, so little time. And those of us that aren't out and about are at home with an equal frantic sense of cleaning. Cleaning the house. This is a ritual in preparation for the new year. So not only do you have to do shopping, traditional market, the day market is a is a madhouse. The days leading up to Chinese New Year's. Again, there's a franticness, if that's a word. And little joy, little pleasure that I can see in doing these. They're chores, they're work. What makes work is the attitude we bring to it. And this is driven by tradition. And I've always strove to be untethered by tradition. My family just doesn't have any traditions that become a burden as I watch those around you coming from a different heritage. My heritage just has weaned itself from traditions. Of course, we have Christmas, which has become a tradition, even for non-Christian folk, as I notice here that Christmas has, over the years, become yet another opportunity for the retailers to promote spending. But it's the frenzy here, the feeding frenzy, the rushing more than they already do, which is a lot more than I ever do. I'd be hard-pressed to even remember the last time I hurried or even felt the inkling of the need to hurry up. I'm probably really noticeable at the train station, the place that I go where there's the most public madness. Otherwise, I avoid them like the plague. I avoid large groups of purpose-driven people, which is pretty much sums up normal life in the city, doesn't it? But transportation, the train station, Taipei train station, and everybody is in a hurry. In fact, I have to make a conscious effort to not burden others with my slowness. Try to stay out of their way. The rushing hordes. As I mentioned before, through awakening, my peripheral vision has really seemed to widen. And honestly, this is one of the few physical manifestations that I've noticed post-awakening. And I always had eyes in the back of my head, what I call the fourth eye. I'm super aware and most sensitive to what's behind me. I know they say don't look back, but I can't help it. Maybe it's self-preservation. Maybe I don't want to get run over by the train that's most likely coming behind me. So pretty much 360 degrees with wide peripheral vision and the help of my fourth eye. I'm pretty aware of my environment, especially my immediate environment, particularly when anything crosses into my aura, my personal aura, which I've described as being equivalent to double your outstretched arms in every direction. A sphere. Your aura is a sphere. So I'm particularly aware of anything that's coming into that. Most times, I invite, verbally or non-verbally, I welcome, I embrace the ones that I'm prepared to come on in. And probably one of the reasons I avoid public places so much is that I have to be on a constant vigil to get out of the way of those that inadvertently penetrate my spherical aura. So being mindful of those around me, I try to stay out of the way, both for their sakes, because my slowness probably or most certainly gets in the way of their focused, frantic efforts to prepare for this holiday. So I lay low, do nothing, no thing, do as little as possible. I go out and do my shopping before the madness hits the stores, which is the last. I try not to shop. Try not to shop much later than a week before the beginnings of the holidays. And then I stay off the road. I come home and I do nothing except be. And that's unavoidable, isn't it? There's not much else we can do, and there's not much that we can stop the reality of being. Do no thing. So today, doing nothing, the way I feel, tomorrow is the last of the holiday, and life, my life at least, can go back to normal on Monday. I don't have to avoid anything. But what I'm wondering today, as we approach the 6th day as we are well into the 6th day of the 7-day holiday, perhaps I may have taken this do nothing way too literally. I'm getting way too good at doing nothing. The old adage that I'd rather sit down than stand up. Lie down than sit down. Spend a lot of hours, way too many hours. My body's a little sore from too many frequent naps. Several times a day, instead of just my normal once a day. Several times a day, I find myself lying down and enjoying it and not feeling guilty, realizing that my body is telling me it needs to rest. I don't feel restless. I have gone on a couple longer bike rides that took me out of the fray, took me to the foothills or the seashore and got some exercise and enjoyed this time. But on the whole, a lot of resting going on. But I have to admit that as of today, after doing it for so many days in a row, I'm not completely free of the feeling that I should be doing more. So I came in here to do a video. That's kind of my temporary solution. Do a video about doing nothing. It makes me think of the old Seinfeld show. The show about doing nothing. And I love that show. Maybe because it resonates with me. Doing nothing. But really, when I say doing nothing, no thing, It has more to do with striving. It's more mental than physical. My physical form is quite relaxed into the dynamics that time has proven fruitful for me. Physical actions. I should never step towards anything or anyone. I should instead watch, listen, and most importantly, wait. The world will come to me, and all I need is to cultivate patience. The world will bring its abundance to me. There's absolutely no reason, it makes no sense to go seeking. And awakening is the end of spiritual seeking. But no matter what, we remain, as long as we remain in this world, we have to provide, or at least we feel like we have to provide. And the only way we know to provide is through individual efforts. As we grow in understanding, trust, faith, willingness to let go of the worry. My life would be a little more comfortable now if I had a little more money. Not a lot, but a little more money flowing on in. I've grown to cherish savings, not for what they can buy, but what savings represents to me. Savings is saving for a rainy day. And who knows when the rain's coming. Just a little cushion. And it's still a work in progress. I need to overcome this. There's still in my mind, is there something I could do to make this so? Instead of recognizing this push, because it's certainly not a desire. It's certainly not based on wanting something other than to provide for my life. If I'm unable to what? There's a question. So you see, there's work. I'm sharing this because there's work needed to be done. I know abundance. I've lived a life that has proven to me over and over again that I'll always be okay. That I've always been able to provide for those dependent on me. Even though It's simple. Okay, it's a pretty good state because I've never been flush with an overabundance of money or the material things that it represents. Neither have I often encountered the opposite, being hungry, being able not to provide the simplest needs. So always okay. But what I'm talking about is this little feeling of doing nothing. Is there something that I should be doing that will make my life more comfortable, make my life seem more secure? And as the words come out, I immediately recognize the folly. So bringing feelings out, expressing them aloud so that you can hear them with your own ears helps by putting a name on something, be it fear, pleasure, or whatever. By putting a name on something, it helps the process of taking a look at what that name represents. And I know we live in a world of abundance. I know, first of all, my responsibility is to separate what I think I need from what I need, what I truly, really need. And I'm stuck somewhere in between, obviously, because I'm sharing with you that a little more money, some income instead of outgoing, at least a little balance there. So the first thing that brings to mind is that am I doing enough to help others? I'm doing these videos. I'm living a life of grace. I'm living in the moment. I'm radiating consciousness. And I'm wondering, is this enough? If it were enough, perhaps, some part of me say, perhaps there would be more incoming. At least all I want is incoming and outcoming to balance each other. Just as the natural law is for every action, there's a reaction. The pendulum swings this far and it swings back this far. So what I've been wondering in my doing nothingness project is that perhaps I need to, how to push this pendulum a little higher so it swings back a little higher. So that's where I am. And the answer is, as always, is in patience. Patience based on the understanding of abundance. Patience to overcome the deeply instilled thought processes that leaves us thinking constantly that we should be doing something. If I did more, I would receive more. Well, it doesn't make much sense when you truly accept abundance. Now, surrender is a process that has to be worked at continually. So perhaps my understanding of abundance, perhaps I haven't completely surrendered to abundance. Perhaps I haven't completely surrendered to waiting. Waiting means waiting, watching, and listening. Perhaps my trust needs more work. And this, as I say these words, it just so fills my heart. Just my heart resounds, responds to the words I'm speaking. So this just ties into what I talked about recently about the continuation, awakening, permanent awakening, or to use Adyashanti's word, abiding awakening, is never an ending. It's always a beginning. Before this awakening takes place, there are endings, striving, ego, any pangs, remnants of jealousy, mistrust, hatred, desire. These things must end before the process can begin. Things must die to make room for more life. But what doesn't die is surrender, trust, love, light, the infinite. They only get larger. And now, as I'm coming to the end of my 33 minutes, I'm really appreciating how much this effort, how much of today's effort has been for myself. I'm telling myself things that I need to remember. And serendipity, the happy accident, means that just maybe some of these things I've touched on will hit home with some of you who may watch this video. There's always work to be done. Life is always a work in progress. It can get better. It's a chore that's never done. The veil of illusion, death, might mean the end of the effort it takes to be alive, to maintain this body, this beautiful mechanism. But death, like so much else, is a veil. Because just as the tiger chasing its tail never gets the satisfaction of catching it, so too is the dance, the cycle of life and death. There is no death. There's instead a metamorphosis of life. Life changes. Our responsibility in this drama is simply to witness, to lose any judgment, to embrace, to surrender, to recognize that only realness is in each and every one of us. We need to share, we need to love, we need to embrace and recognize the blessings that life gives us.